I am Laurent Martin, half of a wedding photography duo out of the Bay Area. When we first developed this talk, we figured we would be talking about partnership. And here I am, up here without Helena. But it's a good time. Yeah, it's a good time. When we first did this talk, Helena had a baby 2 weeks ago, and now she's not here because we are expecting a baby in 2 weeks. So it's a good time to be looping around to this stuff. So when we realized we weren't talking about partnership, we had to change all the content, of course. And we decided that what we wanted to talk about was embracing chaos in order to create more powerful images. But not in order to create more powerful images for Instagram, not in order to create more powerful images for other photographers, and we are the snobbiest group to impress. So this was about creating more powerful images for our couples. Totally different thing, as it turns out. So we're going to be looking at, actually, here we go. Not the right slide. There we are. We're going to be looking at death, life, and then we'll talk about weddings a little bit. Let's see where we go. So my belief is that the world is inherently chaotic, and we as artists have an ability and a responsibility to look through all of this disorder and find stories and human relationships. When we embrace that chaos and learn to look for these connections, we're able to make more powerful images for our subjects. And that sounds simple, but it also sounds completely not simple at all. So this movie we're watching here is called Samsara. It's a beautiful film. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. So let's break it down a little, because this is a weird topic to be discussing, right? Chaos, complete disorder and confusion. This is pretty much how I feel at the beginning of every shoot, at the beginning of every wedding. There's no control. This is one of my favorite definitions for chaos: behavior so unpredictable as to appear random, owing to great sensitivity to small changes and conditions. When I was younger, I took part in a social experiment where you had a bunch of people in a room. You walk towards the people you like, and you walk away from the people you don't. Maybe 50 people in a room. It was chaos. This is how humans operate. It's wild. It's hard to see the patterns. Creativity. Creativity is a phenomenon whereby something new and valuable is formed. Now, this is what we do as wedding photographers, right? We create. This is Soderbergh. Art in itself is an attempt to bring order out of chaos. I think this makes a lot of sense in terms of music. Like this, the world is noisy. And as humans, we turned that noise, that chaos of sounds, into art, into music. And here we are. We're going real basic. I'm not trying to be condescending here. I just want to make sure we get all this stuff down. Photography. It's light drawing. That's what we're doing. We're drawing with light. So we're doing with photography what humans did with noise. We're turning all this light into something powerful, into an image. And so the psychologist Linda Henkel did this great study. She found that she took a group of people, showed them an object, had them remember. Took a group of people, had them take a photo of the object, and had them try to remember. As soon as they clicked that photo button, they couldn't remember as well. We've actually started to outsource our memory creation in the same way that we don't remember phone numbers. We have a responsibility to create memories for people. It's kind of a cool job we have. And when you ask people what are the most important moments, the biggest things in their life, weddings come up. One of the top, most stressful, most important days of your life, that's the arena that we're working in. We're working in the arena of life, of death, of weddings. So it's nothing to be taken lightly, making memories in this area. So, now we're getting to the meat a little, right? How do we create powerful images for our couples? So let's see if we can come up with an answer and give you guys a little clarity about what it is we're talking about today. So before we go too far, I'd like to tell you who I am a little. We can look at some images. I'm Laurent Martin. I'm a wedding photographer out of the Bay Area. This isn't my story. This is our story, the story of Helena and Laurent. We met in an art show. We fell madly in love. We moved in fast. We got engaged fast. A year later, we got married on a hilltop in Bernal Heights. A beautiful backyard wedding. We had no idea what we were doing. We were the most naive wedding planners. In fact, we were so naive that we didn't realize that the officiant doesn't come with the paperwork. So the next photo is us in Vegas 6 months later getting married again because we weren't married at the end of our marriage. So somewhere in there. And it's hard to really separate this all out, but we're inseparable. A friend of hers asks if she can shoot some pictures at her wedding, a friend of Helena's, and we bargain that they'll feed me dinner if I join in and help. And this is actually me, the first wedding we ever shot. If you look in there, there's a little dog in my bag. You see the little dog? Yeah, that's how good we were. People are really nice to you when you have a dog in the bag, by the way. So, pro tip there, bring a dog. We went home that day, launched the website, went for it. We were like blown away that this was a job. Like you can take photos at weddings and that's a job. And the thing I tell everyone, the biggest takeaway I have from growing that business was a thing that a friend of mine told me: change is not a commitment to that change. This was a friend who runs adventure companies in Indonesia. And this was like liberating for us because there's so much anxiety about building these things. Try stuff. If it doesn't work, go back. Raise your prices. Drop them. Add a package. Take it away. Nothing mattered anymore, right? We were just like throwing the pasta on the wall and then something would stick. We'd be like, that worked. We like it. It's cooked. And it worked. The first year we did 5 weddings. Second year we did 30 weddings. And then we went to 42. I think we did like 49 last year. And our prices have kept growing up and up. You know, this is how you do it. You more inquiries and you charge more. And artistically, we had a philosophy, I guess, and it came out of being a married couple. The experience of creating an image is more important than the image. And putting the experience first ultimately leads to the best images. An odd approach, I'm sure, but this is the work we started to do. This is, I think, actually one of the first photos we shot. Helena went out with her friend, and I like showing this one because I think there's something brilliant about when you're naive. Like, I think we all have in our portfolio this photo that we're like, I shouldn't have been able to take that at that point. You know, like, how did I do that? And then it takes a while to kind of catch up. So there's something brilliant about just not knowing what you're doing. And this is an image that comes out of that. This one I love. We didn't plan this at all. I don't even know how to plan what hair does. We had them put their noses together. A gust of wind, like a wind tunnel, formed between their faces. It picked up her hair. I was using autofocus, and it jumped. Press the button. That was a great mistake. Really happy about that one. This is how they walk. I think we were going between one location to another location. We looked out, we pressed the button. I don't walk like this, but this is how they walked. We're on the way to the first look at this point. This bride made the cape. She made the flowers. We live for couples like this, couples that aren't afraid to just break the whole mold. And Helena looks at me, she says, honey, the dog's eating the cake. And I go, click, got it, we're good. A beautiful first look on front of the house she grew up in. This is the bride's family home. I don't actually understand how I took this photo. Obviously, this is not something you can control. He was adjusting his shirt, the wind blew, I was pressing the button, and luck? I don't know, but certainly built out of chaos. A bathroom before the ceremony, a kiss, a first look under the Golden Gate Bridge, the other side of a first look. They're meeting up in the garden, we turn around and press the button. We were just like, whoa, whoa, that's the show. Such a beautiful, beautiful group. Flower girl going in for the hug. This is just a moment that we saw. He liked picking her up. This isn't a pose. She jumped in his arms. I moved so the sun wouldn't destroy the photo, stuck it right behind him, pressed the button, and it worked. Let's see. I can't control horses. I've tried, but they do things. We press the button. Moments like this are kind of what we live for. This tree used to be a famous tree in San Francisco, a tree on a hillside. And then it fell. And now it's a famous fallen tree in San Francisco. We stuck them in there. We're rotating around trying to figure out how to take a photo of it. And it happened. First look with Dad. Such a beautiful moment. I really like the emotion in this one. We had flew to New York, upstate New York. There's some waterfalls up there, as it turns out. Yeah, cool waterfalls in upstate New York. And this was the last location we went to, and someone said, I think it was the groom, he says, hey, it's like American Gothic. And I'm like, that's a good idea. And he ran in the back, and we found like these garden tools, and they went out and pressed the button. It was totally unexpected. It's the last photo we shot of their portrait session. Yeah, the bride's dad was like, I know a cool road. We're like, okay. It's like, I'm a photographer. We're like, okay. Oh, wow. All right, sure. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see what you got. And we found this road, and the sun was setting, and she got so excited, she started running around like crazy, and the dust kicked up. I might have actually also been kicking up dust and stuff. These fall off your head. They're incredibly heavy. We're taking a photo. It falls off her head. She goes to catch it. We press the button, and I love this moment. It's perfect. Could have never planned it. I'm not that creative. You know that ray of light that runs through the middle of the aisle, that you're just like, you are my enemy. So we're just flicking through the settings, like fast clicking through, shadow, light, and we catch the bride walking down with her dad right as they go into that horrible, horrible lighting situation. I would never, ever do this to myself if I was controlling the situation. This is a bad idea. But we dealt with it, and you get an image like this. And a moment, too. Okay, so we're the worst at planning. Just horrible. I told you how bad we were at planning a wedding. We took this couple, this amazing couple. They got stuck on a mountain together for like 3 days. And we go to do their portrait session. The weather is just, we think it's the best, but everyone else would say it's bad weather. We didn't realize that Fort Point, which is a fort under the Golden Gate Bridge, was about to close. And we showed up, and they were like, you got 5 minutes here, man. And we ran up the stairs, ran to the top. They jumped on a thing, gave each other a big kiss. We pressed the button, and I swear to God, I could have never gotten this photo if I had gone online and quickly checked when they closed. It came out of the moment. It came out of that necessity. All right, so no image, no single image, no series has actually ever gotten us as much attention and feedback as this one. This is my dog Lunga, postmortem. Sorry to show you, but it brings us right into our next section. We're going to talk about death a little. This is in Indonesia and Bali, they have a very different concept of death. So this is a Balinese funeral ceremony we stumbled upon. It's kind of amazing and morbid at the same time. Lunga was the dog love of my life. I adopted her out of college. She's living in a pound, and I made a promise to her that I would kind of give her the best life I could. Her life was getting dimmer and darker every month, and I promised that I would do the opposite for her. So, I'd bring her to restaurants just so that she knew what a restaurant was like. I flew her in planes. This dog went to Burning Man 5 times. You see, I used to have a great handlebar mustache in that middle photo. Helena, of course. When Lucky turned 9, she got lymphoma. She got a big bump in her neck. And we started treating it, and it just got worse. And we had to put her down. And they give you options. That they're like, you can do the group cremation, which is just so horrible. It's like, we'll just throw your dog in a pile, and I don't even know. Private, pretty expensive, or you can bury her. And I loved her so much. I wanted to give her a funeral for a friend, for family. Certainly not a pile of dogs, right? So, we went around the neighborhood. We gathered flowers from the neighborhood. That's me. We dug a 6-foot hole. Obviously, that's me. Dug a 6-foot hole, laid down a bed of flowers on the ground. I didn't want her to get dirty. And we proceeded to create this bed of flowers for her. Helena is, I'm just crying the whole time. I'm a mess. Helena's just getting started. She doesn't know what to do. I think she was coping by taking photos. And a couple months went by, and we thought I probably cried for a month, and then we thought we need to show people these. These are really powerful. This is something that people need to see. So we wrote My Modern Met, and we said, hey, I know this isn't what you normally publish, but we have this dog funeral we shot. It's our dog, and it turns out she was a dog lover, the editor. There's actually a lot of them out there. And she was like, oh yeah, we need to show people this. So she put it on My Modern Met. And like overnight, we got like 4,000 people to the website, which at the time, that was a lot of people for us. And we got like 20 people usually on a day. We didn't expect this, but it got picked up, like it went viral. So, most of the internet is kind of just like websites copying content from other websites. It just started like spinning around the world. We're sitting home looking at analytics, watching it, like the dots popping up everywhere. And here we go. 14,404 people came to our site one day. That was mind-boggling for us. And then we started getting letters, like in the mail, messages through our Facebook started blowing up. People are just writing us left and right. Your story touched me to the soul. The love of my life was and is Ruby, a red gladiator Dobie. I lost her over 10 years ago. She lived to be 17. I just felt compelled to share this with you after being touched by the photos of Lunga. Well done, and thank you for sharing this. Over the years, I've had best friends that meant a world to me. I would get emotional over their death, and people would say, it's just a dog. No, it's family. Thank you for sharing your moment with all of us. When I lost my chocolate lab 15 years ago, it was one of the hardest deaths I have ever faced. I wish that I had your idea. We did have him cremated, and then poured some of his ashes into the pond where he went swimming every week. I mean, these go on. There were like hundreds of letters we started getting. They just kind of kept coming in. Oh, there we go. So What can we take away from this? Photos of a dead dog spinning around the internet. Photos help people connect with the important parts of their own story. When they were looking at our dog, they were seeing their dog. When they were looking at photos of our burial, they were thinking about their burial and their loved ones and the dogs that they had to say goodbye to. So photos help people connect with important parts of their story. I think that's a big one. And of course, vulnerability inspires human connection. Just like something deeply rooted in us makes us jump up and feel connected to people when they open up to us. And we'll change it up. We shouldn't be talking about dead dogs. Let's talk about poop. When I was younger, I lived in a van. I'm sure we all did, right? Probably not. I lived in a van, visiting my friend's house. We're hanging out. I'm pretty sure I got a fart. That's what's going through my head. I got a fart. Just gonna finish this conversation, and then I'll do it when I leave. So I'm walking down the stairs, and safe, fart. It was a shart. I pooped my pants leaving my friend's house, and thankfully, my van was parked right outside, right? You know, it's nice to be so close to home. I was morbidly embarrassed, as you can imagine. I didn't tell my friend. I didn't tell anyone for quite a while. It was pretty bad. But at the same time, I felt like this is pretty funny also. I should tell my friend. Like, I'm gonna tell Matthew, he's my best friend. I'm gonna tell him that I pooped my pants as I left his house. And so I did. I told him. And he goes, "Oh, dude, I pooped my pants last year." Okay. All right. But so it's ridiculous, right? But by putting yourself out there, by being vulnerable, he felt compelled to tell me about his own horrible things. And it's hard to not tell this story without having someone kind of want to tell me their own horrible, embarrassing story. So vulnerability inspires human connection. Put yourself out there. Just put yourself out there. It works. All right, so we're talking about pooping ourselves. I think this is a fantastic transition into the next part of this presentation, life. We'll talk about life now. So I think I mentioned last time we did this talk, Helena was 2 weeks away from having the baby. There she is. All her pregnancy photos, me licking her belly. That's a traditional pregnancy pose, I think. Fourth year business, we decided to have less money, work less, a little more balance in our life. We're getting older. We, of course, did not plan it very well, and we ended up due on the busiest month of our year, of our season. So, we started planning as best we could. We took a month off. We're going to, we got it all figured out, and we had to drop a couple, and we just didn't book for a bit. And we just started planning. September 9th rolls around, the due date, nothing. We're just waiting, like, it should happen now, right? It's the due date. Nothing. It's so hard, the wait. The wait is so hard. So this kind of reminds me of something that shows up in the creative process a lot, and it comes up actually in improv theater. Make a plan and then throw it out. You can't help but plan. Like when you're approaching a wedding, when you're approaching a shoot, your brain just starts to I gotta figure this out. I gotta know how to do it. I gotta have the answer before I get in there. And so you kind of let that process happen because you can't shut it down. It's always gonna happen. You just plan, and then in improv, you just go on stage and just don't do anything you planned, as is life, right? We had this plan, and the first thing we had to do was completely throw it out. Weeks are going by now. She makes it through the first week of waiting, and it's hard. Like, you feel like something's maybe wrong with you. There's a lot of doubt. Like, can I do this at all? Is this even possible? And it was really important that we did a home birth. And as the time kept going, we started fearing that we would also have to throw that plan out. You know, we're getting, time is moving. So a day before we have to do stress testing, the contractions start. This is like the best news ever. 5 p.m. We can do it, right? Like, it's gonna happen. She's starting to go into labor. It's an incredible day for us. And she stays up all night. At some point I go to sleep. I don't know what I can do to help her. It's not full on, it's just coming in. And you know, the next day, this is the new dog love of our life, Lucky, who's kind of slept by her side, kept her company. And the midwife comes by, and she's hopeful that it's gonna keep moving, that she's going to have this baby soon. And she keeps coming by to check. You know, it's gonna happen soon. But it just keeps going. It keeps going, like, way into the night. And, you know, again, I remember thinking, like, what can I do? Like, if I don't sleep, then I can't be here to help her. So I'm gonna go to sleep, and then you know, I say, honey, just I'm right here. If you need anything, wake me up. I don't care. Another night goes by. It's just continuing. She's not sleeping, she's not eating. This image is hard for me because I feel like I can see some of the pain she's going through. You know, that there's no way to really feel it, but I can start to see it in this. And she's starting to look for a way out of this. Like, psychologically, she's like, maybe I just won't have the baby. You know, or like, this is when your brain starts being like, I want medication, I want, like, what can we do? Like, I don't want to do this, I can't do this. That's part of it, right? And this, again, reminds me of something that comes up in the creative process a lot. I was an art student. This professor, artist, Judy Pfaff, actually a New York artist, would always say, oh, actually, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong slide. Crutches are a method to avoid the insecurity and frustration of being creative. We'll talk about Judy later. When you're going into this creative process, and it's hard, and it's chaotic, and you don't know what you're doing, you start to look for control. You start to look for ways to make it easier so that you don't have to feel this horrible feeling of not knowing how you're gonna do it. So this comes up a lot. It comes up a lot in my process, where you actually end up having to, like, push it a little, push past the crutches to actually make something. Oh boy, we're running a bath for her. You can see in her face, right? She's starting to give up. She doesn't think she can do it anymore. And there's actually a phase in pregnancy and in labor called the transition. And what's so wild about the transition is when you go through it, the thing that marks the transition is that you feel like you want to give up. Like, you're just done. Like, right before you actually go into this process of labor, the thing that everyone feels is, I can't do this. So now this is what Judy used to always say to me. She was critiquing other artists at this point. People always want to give up when it gets really hard, but that's the moment right before you create something really amazing. So think about that in terms of the artistic process. Art should be hard. In order to create something really incredible, it should feel bad. It should be a struggle. And so if you look at it like that, you're no longer looking for crutches, you're looking for challenges. You're looking for that feeling of, I don't think I can do this. That's the feeling right before you create something really amazing. Oh, Thursday night, 414 keeps going. That means she's having contractions and then a space and a contraction, a space. The contractions eventually are supposed to go into one kind of solid state, but it doesn't. We run a big bath. It's hard to relax when you're out of control, but it's important just to relax. And the contractions start slowing down. They're going the opposite direction now. Oh, it's really scary when you've been through almost 3 days of this and then you start going backwards. She gets an IV to hydrate a little. She's told she needs to rest. She obviously can't sleep, but the midwife thinks, I think you just need to lay down and rest. If you haven't noticed, I'm drawing a pretty firm parallel between the creative process in art and the creative process in life. So take a break. When you find yourself hitting the wall over and over and over and over, go on a walk. Don't even bring your camera. Don't. Just relax. This is part of the creative process. It's not giving up, it's gaining perspective. So take a break. So, I go to sleep again, another night of what do? She rests. And when I wake up, the midwife comes by, and it worked. Just resting, and all the rest of that work happened on its own. So take a break. All right, we're on to the action now. 7:30 a.m. Helena decides, I've been through 3 days of torture. I am not going to be pushing all day. So she is like, wah! Just fierce about this. Fierce. And her face says it all, right? It really does. So, we had planned on maybe doing it in the bath. Nah, that's out. Throw that plan out. We're next to the bed here. Helena is pushing. She reaches down and feels ahead, and she thinks, everyone knows what's happening. Like, everyone's watching me. It's, they know. The midwife turns around and is like, oh my God, okay. Oh my God, there's a head. Okay, we're doing this now. Laurent, do you want to catch? And I reach down, and it never ceases to be crazy, but a person comes out of Helena, and I catch Theo, this beautiful boy, and bring her up to her arms. This is like right after the moment. We're so confused. We don't know what this thing is. I have my camera on the floor. I have a 135 millimeter lens on the whole time. I'm just picking it up, trying to cope, I guess, picking it up, taking photos. This 8:35 a.m., it was like an hour and a half of active pushing. A beautiful baby boy, Theo, comes out. This is like a minute after he's born. And I think I missed the focus a little on this photo. And I was using like this crappy lens. I just set it to a setting, and I would just press the button when I could. But I love this photo. I have a photo of the minute after my son was born. And I'll tell you what, it's insane that we fight about gear and lenses and stuff, because that's not what these photos are about. It's not what it's about for me. I guarantee it's not what it's about for your couples. So I think Helena actually said it best. A 10-month wait, 2 days and 3 nights of labor, a broken body, crazy hormonal nosedives and uncontrollable crying, pure baby bliss and unrivaled love. Making a human has broken me while simultaneously showing me how strong I am. During labor, I wondered why it had to be so hard and so painful, but why should it be easy? The best things in life, the most rewarding journeys, they're never the easy ones. Theo Tiger Martin, beautiful boy. He already has an agent. It's 8 pounds, 22 inches. Yeah, we love this guy. So, what can we take away from this? You went to a photo conference. A guy showed you his baby photos. So let's see if we can get something out of this weird story of life. The process of creativity is almost always difficult and frustrating. It is supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be easy. Look for the difficult parts. There is no such thing as a shortcut when it comes to creativity. There's maybe an editing shortcut or an automation process you can do, but when it comes to actually creating stuff, there's no cutting in line. You just have to go through it. It's just hard. You already know everything you need to know to be creative. There is no skill. There is no gear. Do you know that humans are the only animals that take a birth class? Yeah. You know what you need to do to be creative. You just have to face it and go for it. We're naturally creative, right? You hand kids some crayons, walk away, creativity happens. It's through this process of getting older that we second guess it, we build our egos and our fears and our desire to be liked into this, and it just messes up the whole thing. So, creativity is taking light, bouncing off of people and objects, and making a valuable memory for someone. Something from nothing. That's the creative process. Weddings. Finally, we're talking about photography. So I took this photo the weekend after Theo was born. We're horrible at planning. Did I tell you that? We had to go off and operate our photo booth. And then I came home that night. I was so tired, I vomited. Never done that before. And then the very next day, I went and shot a wedding. Now, I could have shown you a bunch of images. We got images like this one's got an award, or this one's, people love it on Instagram. But I wanted to show you this image because I think that when you push yourself so hard that you can't remember how to take photos anymore, that you can't even verbalize the pose you want, that you just do some really interesting, beautiful things. So don't be afraid to push yourself. I mean, respect your limits as a human, but as an artist, push through and really see where you get. All right. So, Joe and Melissa, high school sweethearts. They reconnected later in life. We love stories like this. Just a beautiful wedding north of the Bay Area, this beautiful barn. In the middle there, that's Nolan, their son. So Nolan was determined to make this wedding about him. Just determined. Here we are, about to go into the ceremony site. That's Grandpa, beautiful bride Melissa. Nolan is losing it, just losing it, freaking out. They have this beautiful barn that they're getting married in. So we went out. We have a mailing list. If you don't have a mailing list, you've probably had someone tell you you need to get a mailing list. You just start it. You're like, this is silly. I have one person on this. And then 5 years later, you're like, oh, I got hundreds of people on this. So just start it, because you don't know what you'll do with it. So we took our mailing list, and we asked everyone what their favorite image was. We really wanted to know, what really was resonating with our couples. In the middle of the ceremony, Nolan decides that this is his day, walks right up. Yeah, they're just right in the middle of things. Walks right up to Melissa and just makes it about him. And you can see the kindness, you can see the patience in her face. It's really beautiful the way she responded. It was inspiring, right? This is her favorite image. Her son interrupting her wedding is what she resonated with. Out of all the portraits and the things we did for them, this is what she really loved. She wrote me, "I chose the photo below because after having a child, nothing is really about you anymore. Even your wedding day. This image captures how much Nolan was a part of that day and also shows in my face how much unconditional love I have for him." That's awesome. This was my favorite photo. Of course, right? I'm a photo snob. How do we get that angle? I've never done that before. That's what I like. That's not what she liked. She didn't care about that at all. So we went on. We asked a bunch of people. This is their favorite photo. That's not a portrait. They're just walking between locations. But she wrote, "We feel it captures the beauty and peacefulness we felt throughout the day. For us, it also represents walking into a new part of our life together, hand in hand. I didn't make that metaphor. That's her. That's what she saw." A moment during the ceremony, they thought it captured an authentic emotional moment for us. Cool. I didn't know that. I mean, I know it captures it, but I didn't know that was their favorite. This photo touches me because we are plant people, and this farm means so much to our family. I feel you two perfectly captured the oaks as participants in our ceremony. I like that it makes us look small in comparison to the tree and the land. I like that we can see all our friends and family there for us. I wouldn't have picked this one. I don't know that, but this is what they loved. Now, she hates her double chin. She told us, we knew it. And she wrote us, this is her favorite image. And she wrote, "I must admit, it's not the most flattering picture of me and my double chin, but it brings back memories of the beauty of that moment. I felt like crap that day, and we were under this beautiful tree, seemed to be a desolate island. It was mid-morning on a Wednesday, but somehow there's this guy in a car just strumming his guitar. He politely relocated in order for us to have a good shot of the tree, and Laurent asked Rob and I to nuzzle. If you don't know what nuzzling is, it's awesome. Faced with harsh, hilarious reality of our failure in the art of nuzzling, this moment happened. I should add, she was sick. She was like snotting the whole time. I asked him to nuzzle. She's like, "Oh, no, we shouldn't do that." It so accurately shows our silly family as we really are. We're doing some group shots in this moment. You know, we tell them to stand in a spot, and we move all the family in and out, and they just look down at their dog. We saw the moment. We took the photo. I told Matt about your request, and he said, quote, "I know exactly which photo is my favorite." And I said, "Me too." And of course, it was the same one. I think it was so easy to recognize which photo was our favorite because this image perfectly captures our personalities and one of our favorite parts of our relationship. The ease we feel when we are with each other and how we can always make each other laugh is clear in this photo. I mean, there's more of these, right? They go on. Not the photos we would have picked. It's a different process when they're looking at their photos than when we are. So what can we take out of this? Look for moments over mountains, right? It's not about the landscape. It's not about the lighting effects. It's not about the view. It's about moments of connection between people. It's about them connecting with the land, their friends, their partner, their dog. Look for connection. Don't worry so much about Instagram looking good. Be specific, not original. I think it's presumptuous to think we know what our couples will like. We don't need to be creative. We need to document what's happening and take photos of that. So again, we're looking for interaction, hands, moments, feeling, more than an opportunity to show off our, witty creativity. The most powerful images happen on their own. That's kind of what I got out of it, right? Those were all the photos I didn't control at all. They were just things that happened, and we we're there to press the button. So really, you just got to stay in the moment. Get out of your head, throw out the plan, be aware, look, press the button. You don't need to be creative. You need to be in the moment. All right, let's see if we can kind of summarize it, wrap it up, because we went over a lot of stuff, and I want you guys to understand what you learned and be able to use it. So, the world is chaotic, and we turn that chaos into human memory. That's our job. The process of creating something from nothing is always hard. There's nothing to escape. Embrace it. Look for it. Push through it. We make images because they help people connect. They connect with each other. They connect with their own story and their own lives. It's a cool job, I think. And of course, because documenting love is probably one of the best jobs in the world. The most powerful images are the ones that connect the viewer to important people or moments in their life. And embrace the chaos. Stay in the moment. I'll show you, this is my favorite photo from our wedding. We were very lucky. We had a very talented photographer, as you can tell, by the sharpness and all of that. This is a photographer named Nirav Patel. He was also a rangefinder photographer at one point, years ago. And one of my friends pushed my other friend into a plate of pâté. And he thought it'd be a good idea to take a bottle of champagne and proceed to pour it down his jacket. I don't know, I have horrible friends. That's Helena's dad in the background. Nirav literally just looked around, pressed the button, and I'm so glad he included it, because to me, this is the energy and the chaos and the love, and this is the party. It wasn't a portrait. This is it for me. Guys, I've been Laurent with Helena and Laurent. I hope you guys got something out of this. And thank you for listening.